In the land of Mesopotamia, where the rivers of life met the plains of ambition, a mighty empire began to take shape. A man named Nimrod, the great-grandson of Noah, was the architect of this new world, a world that would spread its influence far beyond the horizon. Nimrod, a name that echoes through the corridors of time. A mighty hunter before the Lord. A king, a conqueror, a rebel. But who was he? And what was his true legacy? Was he merely a skilled warrior, or did he stand for something far more dangerous? To understand the man, we must journey back to the pages of Genesis, the words of the prophets, and the echoes of ancient traditions. This is the story of a man who rose to greatness, yet in his arrogance, he fell. The Bible first introduces Nimrod in the book of Genesis. Cush fathered Nimrod. He was the first on earth to be a mighty man. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. But what does it mean that he was a mighty hunter before the Lord? Some interpret this as a literal reference to his prowess in the hunt. But ancient commentators suggest a deeper meaning, that he was a hunter of men, a warrior who subdued nations, a king who sought to establish his rule above all others. The book of Jasher 7:23-24 says that Nimrod was given a special garment of power, once belonging to Adam and passed down through Noah. With this, he gained great strength and influence. With this power, he rose above his peers. He was no longer just a leader, he was a ruler. He established himself as a god-king, demanding worship and obedience from all who followed him. The legends speak of Nimrod not just as a king but as a warrior who sought dominion through war. Some traditions, including extra-biblical texts, suggest he allied himself with giants, remnants of the Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and the daughters of men. These mighty beings, once feared and reviled, became part of his growing empire. With each conquest, his kingdom expanded. From Babel to Erech, from Akkad to Calneh, Nimrod's empire became the first great dominion on earth. His warriors crushed all opposition, and those who resisted were made examples of. The book of Jasher 7:44 records how Nimrod reigned over the people and forced them into submission through his might. Nimrod's first great city, Babel, would become the crown jewel of his empire. Its towering ziggurats and grand palaces symbolized the hubris of a ruler who sought to make his name great above all others. It was here that the famous Tower of Babel was conceived, a monument to human pride and defiance against God.
The Tower of Babel, defiance against God. Nimrod said, "Behold, my people. We shall reach the heavens. We shall be as gods. No flood shall destroy us again." Jewish midrashic tradition expands on Nimrod's defiance. He is often portrayed as the mastermind behind the Tower of Babel, a monument to human ambition and rebellion. "Let us build a tower that reaches the heavens," they said, "lest we be scattered." This was not merely a construction project. It was a declaration of war against God. But the Lord saw their pride. Confusion struck their tongues, their unity was shattered, and the once great empire of Nimrod began to crumble. The tower, meant to reach the heavens, became a symbol of human folly. And Babel fell. But Babel was only the beginning. From here, Nimrod's vision of a sprawling empire would stretch across the fertile plains of Mesopotamia. Nimrod was not content with the confines of Babel alone. His empire stretched from Erech in the south to Akkad in the north, and beyond. He built cities, established trade routes, and gathered a powerful army. Erech, once a simple settlement, became a city of influence, its walls rising under Nimrod's command. Akkad, the heart of his northern expansion, would become the seat of political power for his descendants. As Nimrod's cities grew, so too did his empire. The influence of his reign spread beyond the borders of Mesopotamia, touching the lands of ancient Persia, Syria, and even parts of Egypt. Through alliances, conquest, and diplomacy, Nimrod's shadow reached far and wide. In the north, Nimrod's empire touched the rugged land of the Assyrians. With swift military campaigns, he established control over the region, founding cities like Nineveh. These cities would one day rise to power on their own, but under Nimrod, they were part of a vast empire that spanned the known world. The northern border of Nimrod's empire was harsh and unforgiving, but his forces were relentless. Assyria became a key province, contributing soldiers, resources, and influence to the ever-expanding empire. But how did Nimrod's rule and character affect the people close to him? A fine example of Abraham's encounter with Nimrod is discussed often. Nimrod said, "You would defy me? You, a mere shepherd, refused to bow to the gods of this land?" Abraham replied, "Your idols are but stone and wood. There is only one true God, and He alone rules over heaven and earth." According to the Midrash, Nimrod's rule was challenged when young Abram refused to worship his idols. "Burn him," Nimrod decreed, and Abraham was cast into a fiery furnace. Yet, the flames did not consume him. God had preserved His chosen one. Nimrod, for all his might, could not defeat the will of the Almighty. The Book of Jasher 27:1-10 describes the dramatic end of Nimrod. In his later years, he had become increasingly despotic and cruel. His arrogance led him into a fateful battle with Esau, the grandson of Abraham. Esau, seeking vengeance, ambushed Nimrod and slew him, taking his garments of power. So one day in the dense hunting grounds, Esau watched from the shadows as Nimrod and two guards stalked a stag. He tightened his grip on his knife, eyes locked on the man who called himself a god. "His power is in his garments. If I take them, his reign ends." As Nimrod raised his spear, Esau struck. Esau lunged, slicing through the first guard before the second could react. Blood darkened the leaves. Nimrod spun, eyes ablaze. "You dare," he roared, spear thrusting. Esau dodged, rolling to the ground as the weapon struck a tree. Nimrod was fast, but Esau was Nimrod stumbled, strength fading. Esau seized the lion pelt from his shoulders, holding it high. "Without this, you're just a man. No more a god. No more a king." Nimrod gasped, eyes dimming. "The heavens were meant to be mine." Esau's blade silenced him. The forest grew still. The mighty hunter had fallen. Without a word, Esau vanished into the trees, leaving an empire without its ruler. Aster. He slashed Nimrod's leg, deep, final. Was Nimrod merely a warrior, or was he the first tyrant, the prototype of all who defy God? His story remains shrouded in mystery, a cautionary tale of ambition and rebellion. The giants he allied with, the wars he waged, the tower he built, all were expressions of his defiance. And yet, for all his power, he could not escape the judgment of God. So what moral lessons do we get from great Nimrod? Pride leads to downfall. Nimrod sought to elevate himself above God, but his empire fell. The power of unity and division. When united under a corrupt leader, people can achieve great but misguided things. However, God's will prevails over human ambition. Rebellion against God is futile. No matter how powerful a ruler, all are subject to divine justice. Faith over fear. Abraham's defiance of Nimrod showed that faith in God is greater than any earthly power.